Hey friends, Miranda Vivanco here, and in today's episode on cooking with essential oils, we're going to make one of my favorites, Thanksgiving pumpkin pie, featuring doTerra clove, ginger, and cinnamon oils. A perfect dish for your Thanksgiving meal. Before we get started, if you like this type of content, give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell notifications. That way you get notified every time we put out a new video. Also, remember to download your recipe book at cookwithoils.com, and I'll leave a link in the description. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have a pie shell. Now, I made my own pie shell. You don't have to do that. You can get the ones at the store if you like, and roll them out and put them on. It's totally up to you. I like fresh pie shell. I like making it. It's kind of simple, so I do it myself. And then the next thing, we get that prepared and put that off to the side. And then the first thing we're going to do is crack these eggs and whip them slightly. All right, my eggs are slightly whipped now. And what I'm going to do next is add in my essential oils, the clove, the ginger, and the cinnamon oils. And I know that I typically tell you to put the oils in at the end if you're going to be baking a recipe. But in this case, it doesn't matter because all of the ingredients are cold already. So adding it at the wet in the beginning or at the end, it doesn't really matter because it's going to all be put into the oven at the same time. We can't separate them out. So the flavor isn't going to be any different adding them now versus at the end when I have everything incorporated into the pie filling. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in our cinnamon oil, and I'm going to do 3 drops. If you like cinnamon, even though this is a strong oil, you can add more. I'm going to put a 4th drop because I really like cinnamon. And I love cinnamon and what it does to the flavor of the pumpkin in the pie. Ginger, I'm only going to add 2 drops because ginger is very strong. And ginger gives it that kind of tangy flavor. It pops out when you're using ginger. And it's really good for digestion. So it's a good one to use when, if you like a lot of ginger, you can add more, but I don't want it to overpower the cinnamon I just put in. And then clove bud oil is really strong as well. So I'm only going to be adding in 1 drop. We don't usually use as much clove when you're making a pumpkin pie because it's not the shine in the pumpkin pie. It actually helps the ginger and the cinnamon shine. So now that I've added the essential oils, I'm going to mix it up a little bit, make sure it's incorporated in with the eggs. And then I'm just going to dump all of the other ingredients in there and stir it together. So this is 1.5 cups of sugar. And this recipe does make 2 pies. Oh, I don't like that. That was not good. Okay. I'm going to add in a teaspoon of salt. And I like pink Himalayan salt personally. And then I'm going to add in an entire 29-ounce can of pumpkin. And I do need this. I didn't have this out. And as I add the pumpkin, I'm going to tell you that usually I add all these ingredients and then do the milk at the end because the milk is really, I want to say runny compared to the pumpkin and the eggs. And because of that, it can splash up and make a mess. So I usually do it a little bit at the end and a little slower than the other ingredients. Okay, so we've added in our pumpkin now. And I'm going to go ahead and stir it this time. As I'm stirring, I can smell the ginger and the cinnamon. It's not going to have the little flecks necessarily of the cinnamon and ginger and the spices that you see in a pumpkin pie, but it definitely will have the flavor. And the flavor is going to be really as good, if not, I think better. All right. And so then I have 2 cans of evaporated milk, and I'm going to pour them in one at a time and mix it up. That way it doesn't splash up on me and make a mess because it's runny. So this is fantastic. Pumpkin pie is one of those things that even the kids like pumpkin pie. They'll eat it. They don't want to eat a lot of the other things like cranberry sauce. but they like pumpkin pie. I don't know what it is. It's sweet and good. Maybe they don't think it's good for them with all that fiber in the pumpkin. And now with all of the essential oils that are added into it, the added benefits. I don't know what other pies you might have on your Thanksgiving table, but I typically don't have any except pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is one of my favorites at Thanksgiving time. So, and now I'm going to pour it into my dish. Into my pie plate. It's already prepared. And when you pour it into your pie plate, you want to make sure that you get it pretty full, not all the way to the top, but almost to the top. All right, now that I have it poured into my pie plate, I'm going to be putting it into the oven. Now, pumpkin pie is a little bit different than other pies. You're going to preheat your oven to 425 and you're going to bake it for 15 minutes at 425. And then you're going to drop the temperature down to 350 and bake it for 30 more minutes. So, or until the knife is clean. It's one of those pies that we use a knife instead of a toothpick to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. So when you're baking it, and if you haven't made one before, you take a butter knife and in the middle you stick that knife in and you pull it out. And if it comes out clean, then your pie's ready to pull out. But if it doesn't come out clean, has bits of the pumpkin pie with it, then it needs to cook for a little bit longer. And when you do that, increments of 2 to 5 minutes. If there's a lot of stuff on it, you do 5. If there's just a few bits on there, then you only do about 2 minutes and then your pie should be ready. But always check it again each time to make sure that it's done. And we're ready to go into the oven. Nothing says Thanksgiving to me more than pumpkin pie. One of my favorite dishes to have on the table. Of course, it's dessert and kids love it. Everybody loves a pumpkin pie. Remember that we used the essential oils, clove bud, ginger, and cinnamon in this pie. And you know, not only do they make this pumpkin pie taste really, really good and give it that really fresh flavor, they all have things that actually are really good for you in other ways. So clove bud historically was used for infectious diseases and all kinds of other things, and a lot of people didn't use it they used it for digestion and other things. But I'll tell you, my daughter had a toothache and we used clove bud and it helped her toothache. It helped it go away. So, you know, clove bud's kind of a powerful oil in many different ways. Ginger, historically, is an interesting oil. The Egyptians used it to put in their cooking to ward off epidemics. And the Romans used it in their wine, which I didn't even think about putting ginger in wine, but I guess you have ginger beer. And ginger in their wine was used as an aphrodisiac. So interesting history with ginger oil. And then cinnamon, I just love cinnamon. But cinnamon is one of the oldest spices used around the world. And in China especially, they have cinnamon historically in every one of their prescriptions that they used to give. So they have an interesting history, but they also do wonderful things for us today. Digestion for ginger, clove bud for aches and infection, and cinnamon is really good for digestion and for your skin as well. So let's give this pumpkin pie a taste. Tastes great. And the combination of these oils, these essential oils, clove, ginger, and cinnamon, really wrap it up into a nice flavor. They offset each other and help complement each other in the flavors of this pumpkin pie that you can have on your Thanksgiving table. Well, that wraps up another Cooking with Essential Oils episode. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and click the bell notification so you never miss my weekly episodes, where I show you how to use essential oils in your everyday cooking. If you want this recipe or others like it, I'll leave the link in the description, or you can always go to cookwithoils.com and download your own Cooking with Essential Oils recipe book. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll answer all of them. And remember, the best way to support my channel is to share it with a friend. Thanks again for watching. Long live essential oils.